Hey everyone, Danny James here, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to create themed photo burst transitions for your music videos inside of Adobe Premiere Pro. If you do end up enjoying this content, kindly give it a like so that it's suggested to other people with the same interest as you, and subscribe if you're watching me for the first time so that you never miss out on my content. To begin, you'll first need to identify where you want to add this transition. In my case, it's where I already have this marker. That's where I want to add some photos. So you can add a cut manually to your video if that's what you need to do. Second, you just need to find photos from the music video that you just shot. And if you don't have any photos, you can go through your entire video or through your clips trying to find some screenshots. And the easiest way to get a screenshot is by going with your timecode where you want to get the screenshots, somewhere like here, and then you can find this export frame option. If you can't find it, you need to go to the button editor and add it from here. Take a screenshot real quick by clicking this, and then I will export it to my desktop, something like that. So I will go through other areas of the same music video that I want to add some photos, and then I will make sure I have some good number of photos to work with, about 5 of them on average. So I have already exported some of the frames that I found interesting. I have my photos right here on my desktop, and if we quickly go through them, you can see how I've chosen them. We have the subject in the foreground and there is something in the background, and here are more of them. We have the subject in view and then there is a background, as you can see. From the desktop, I'll just highlight or right click on one of the photos, right click and open with Photoshop so that it opens in the same dimensions. With this one right here, I'll come back to my desktop and choose about 4 other photos that I like. So I've added 5 other photos, drag them into Photoshop just like that. You can unlock the background. Since these photos have this small mark right here, you'll need to hold shift and select all of them, right click and rasterize the layers. We can begin on working on one of the photos. Let's begin with this one that is right below. Before doing anything, hit Ctrl J so that you can duplicate, and then we'll just select the subject. You can click here and hit on select subject for Photoshop to do it for you. Alternatively, go to your quick selection tool and then try to highlight the subject real quick. Doesn't have to be anything perfect. And then I will switch back to my selection tool, click right here so that I can create a mask. So if I hide the background, we've already selected the subject. So what I'll do now, I will hold shift and click on both of them and then put them in a group. You can click here or hit Ctrl G to put them in a group. We can name this frame number 1, and then inside that frame we can begin tweaking the background first. Just add an adjustment layer. We'll put levels. Now we are trying to add a lot of contrast to this photo, and we are also trying to kind of make it darker, the background in that sense. So just move your levels how you find it best, and then once that is done, you can see without the levels, with the levels. And then we'll also add another adjustment layer. Just above the background layer, we'll put a black and white, and that is done. Now we shall work on the mask or the roto in this case. Just add another adjustment layer and find the channel mixer. It should be right here. And then this will enable us to color theme these frames. If you want to increase the reds in this frame, we just increase this value a little bit. You can also tweak the value for the greens and blues, since they also make up red, and then finally come to the constant value and increase it like that. Okay, then remember to click here so that you can clip these such that it affects the layer that is right below only. For this adjustment layer with the channel mixer, go to your blending modes, put it to soft light, and right there in that moment you already have a themed frame. Okay, so once you have something like this, again you can always change the colors that you want to effect. Let me reset this parameter. If you wanted to add some yellowish looks, we could easily go to blues, and we know that by reducing blues you introduce yellows in that sense, and then you can also increase the constant or decrease it to add that themed color. So I'll just go with the reds, so I'll reset it, switch back to the reds and increase the constant like that. So once you've worked on the first frame like this, you'll just do the same things with the other frames depending on the color theme that you've chosen to go for your photos. Once you do that, you can close that group and you're going to do the same process with the other photos. And the advantage is that you can copy the same settings to the rest of the photos. Just a small example, I will enable a second slide, this one right here. Control J, duplicate it, and on the first layer, take my selection tool, select the subject or whatever I want to regard as my foreground. You can also hold Alt with the selection tool to put it to a minus, just to tell the software the parts that you don't want to add. And then switch back to my selection tool, create a mask, put these two layers in a group, Control G. As I said, you can copy the settings from the first frame, the levels in black and white, click on the background for the second frame, paste the two effects above it, and then I'll also copy the channel mixer, close that, click on the masked layer, hit Control V, and the channel mixer should be above. Remember to click here to clip those settings on it. Then we'll do the same thing with the rest of the layers. I've finished going through the rest of the frames. Here's our 6th frame, our 5th frame, looks good. 4th frame, I've just pasted the settings that we did from the first one and just did the same process. I'll just go to the 2nd frame, just show you one more example. Right click on it and then merge that group, and then go to filter and find blur gallery, add the iris blur. Now it will allow us to add a blur around the shape, so I can always extend these points like this. I can also go to the end and compress these like that. I can rotate it like that, and then I can also shift the center to be somewhere like here, and then you can increase the blur amount right here. So from my experimentation, I found that just trying to make the subjects a little bit blurry makes it even more interesting. And then you can put a blur of around 14 and then hit OK. So this will be our end product, and I will do the same for the rest of the frames. You can also increase the value for light bouquet just to add a little of that spark, and then hit OK. So you can see the difference that we're getting before and after, and I'll do the same for the rest of the frames. I will then export each of these frames individually, and then we can go with them into Premiere Pro. Here are exports, bring them into Premiere, and then I will choose about 4 of them, 4, 5, drop them here. Make sure they are 5 frames apart, so from your Mac or from your cut, hold Shift and right arrow key just to make sure that they are 5 frames apart, and then you can rearrange them in the order that you prefer. From experience, I prefer using 4 photos instead of 5, as long as they are 5 frames apart. And then you can go to the first frame, add a scaling keyframe, go to the end of it, just scale it a little up to around 110, push that to the end, copy that same effect and paste it on the rest of your frames. And you can also add a camera shutter sound effect if you want to. And in those few steps, our final look should be something like this.
Kwa hii life tunacheza Among Us, mafala mamblino wamegeuka imposters. Nilitoka kwa slums za Mathare, sasa naishi Mayolo na slina zichota. Kwa hii life tunacheza Among Us, mafala mamblino wamegeuka imposters. Nilitoka kwa slums za Mathare, sasa naishi Mayolo na slina zichota.
Yeah, that's it from me today. I hope you did enjoy this video. Kindly feel free to check out my digital store at dannyjames.co for amazing preset packs and LUTs that you might find useful. My name is Danny James. See you guys on the next video. Peace.